All right. Hello, everybody. This is Courtney with Fiber Fox Studios, and today what we're going to be working on is this really pretty design. We're going to be doing a sweater, and this is done in bulky size 5 yarn. All of the sizes are going to be explained from small or extra small all the way down or all the way up to the 6X size, but we are going to have a multi-part tutorial because the way that you are chaining your piece to get started is going to change how we're doing one part of it for the different sizes. So there'll be 3 separate tutorials on this, possibly even a 4th, to show how we put it together. So we're going to get started in this tutorial though to do our back and front panels. You're going to be doing 2 panels that are exactly the same. They're going to be the same width and same height. And then we're going to move on to the section where we are doing our shoulder connecting pieces. Those shoulder connecting pieces, just like I've shown here on this one, which is my test panel, they are a very small version of what we're doing down here in the rest of your panels, but they're done in a way so that we can connect the front and the back panels together. So we're going to get started specifically with the back panel here in this tutorial. You'll do the same thing for the front panel, only you will not be clipping your yarn because you'll be able to move on and do those shoulder connecting parts right up here. Hopefully you guys can see that pretty well. It's just a little small piece that connects to the back. So you're going to go ahead and grab your yarn. For this tutorial, this particular color that I'm showing is the Loops and Threads Barcelona yarn. It's a medium, or I'm sorry, it's a 328 yards per ball, and it is a bulky 5 yarn. And I'm going to go ahead and show you, this is Opulence is the color that you're looking at here. And the one that I had in my podcast that prompted all you guys to request this tutorial is the Barcelona size 5 bulky yarn, 328 yards. And that was in color Wildberry. Got that upside down. So Wildberry is what I did that one in. So if you would like to grab your size 5 bulky yarn, you are going to grab that, and then you're going to refer down to the description to see what size hook you're going to need, because each size is going to be a different hook, and the number of starting chains to get started. This tutorial is going to go over this basic stitch pattern again so that you can do this piece. So refer down to the description for the amount of yarn you'll need, the total number of chains you're going to chain, the hook size you're going to need, and all kinds of other information is always found down there. So we're going to go ahead and pause. I'm going to get into a working position so we can get started. All right, so I'm ready here. I'm going to be using a standard little medium 4-weight yarn just so you guys can see what I'm doing, because my other yarns are a little bit too dark. We're going to get started by doing a slip knot. So I like to do my slip knots by taking my yarn. This right here is my working coming out of the ball. This right here is my yarn tail. And I like to go ahead and just take these 2 fingers right here, and I like to wrap the yarn around them just like so. And I bring it on around in this manner. Then I take my thumb and I pull this working yarn over here in between my 2 fingers. And then I just pull back, pinch and pull back and pull down on that tail, and I get my slip knot. So I'm going to go ahead and insert my hook, and again make sure that you're referring down to the description for the number of chains you need to start. And you're just going to do the chain like this. I've got my slip knot here on my hook. I'm going to wrap my yarn, I'm going to grab it right there, and I'm going to pull through this loop. And now that's 1 chain. You're going to chain nice and loose, especially for your foundation row that you're doing to set up your panels. So do not crochet really tightly. This is going to really affect the size of your finished panel if you are crocheting super tight. So make sure that you're using a loose tension, because these panels need to be kind of stretchy. These 2 panels that you're making, once you connect them and sew up the sides, you are going to find that you have a more of a figure hugging type of sweater. It's not going to be super loose and floating away from the body, or flowing away from the body. So you want to keep that in mind. So you're going to go ahead and pause the video here, continue to chain in the different sizes. It's going to be anywhere from 39 chains all the way up to 75 chains. So for the smaller sizes, as you'll see below, you're going to chain 39. For the medium, I guess would say middle sizes into the plus size, you're going to be chaining 57 for some of those. And then in the largest sizes, you're going to be chaining 75. This pattern is worked in multiples of 18 plus 3 at the end. So if you're wanting to make more of a flowier or larger size than what I am showing below, I've got measurements and everything. So if you're wanting to do something like that, you are going to want to make sure that you are adding 18 chains to the count I've given or subtracting 18 chains from the counts that I've given. So go ahead and pause here, come back when you have your whole entire chain ready to go. All right, so to get started here, what we're going to be doing is you've got your entire chain nice and loosely crocheted. You want to keep your form, but you don't want to make something, you want it to be stretchy like that. That's going to help with the fit. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to take our hook and we're going to count back and skip over these next 3 chains that are immediately following this loop that's on our hook. So we never count the loop that is on our hook. So we're going to count 1, 2, 3. We're skipping those, and into this 4th one, we're going to do a double crochet. So you're going to wrap your yarn, insert your hook into that stitch, pulling up a loop. You're going to grab your yarn again, and you're going to pull through 2. Grab your yarn again and pull through 2. So that chain 3 that we skipped right here is counting as our first double crochet. We've just done a second double crochet, and now we're going to do a 3rd double crochet right here into the very next stitch. So you're going to go right there into that next stitch and do a double crochet just like we just did. And now you're going to chain 5, and this begins your repeat. So regardless of the size you're making, your repeat is going to begin here. So chain 5. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And again, I am keeping my tension pretty loose. If you are having trouble with that, just go up a hook size, and then you'll need to stop and measure your panel to make sure you're staying in size with what I've got listed down below in the description. So we've got the chain 5 here on our hook, and we're going to skip 5 chains down here, or 5 stitches down here on this foundation row. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and into the 6th one we're going to do a single crochet. So go right here into the 6th and do a single crochet. Just like that. And now we're going to do 2 more single crochets in the next 2 stitches. There's our 2nd, and here's our 3rd. And now we're going to chain 5 again. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And we're going to skip on here down at the foundation row. We're going to skip the next 5 stitches and go into the 6th. So we're going to skip 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And here in the 6th one, we're going to do a double crochet. Just like so. And now we're going to do 4 more double crochets into the next 4 stitches. So go ahead and do a double crochet in the very next stitch. And pull out some more yarn for me. We're going to do a double crochet in the very next stitch. And you're going to do a double crochet in the next stitch. This one is my 4th. And a double crochet, 5th one, last one, right here into the very next stitch. Just like that. So that's what we've got here so far, and that's the end of your repeat for this row. You're going to go ahead and chain 5 and continue on in the same exact manner, and I'm going to mark on screen where you need to rewind to if you're needing any more help. But you are going to go ahead and work on down, chaining 5, doing 3 single crochets in those 3 stitches after you've skipped over these 5 down here. So you're going to chain 5, skip 5, go into the 6th, do 3 single crochets in a row, chain 5, skip 5, go into the 6th, and do 5 double crochets in a row, chain 5, and continue on. So you're going to meet back up with me when you're at the end of your row and you've got your last 3 stitches to work into. I'm going to continue on screen for anyone who wants to watch me do this real quick. I am doing 3, 4, and 5 chains. I'm going to skip 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And I'm going to go into the 6th and do 3 single crochets. 1, 2, 3. And now you're definitely you're going to want to go ahead and pause the video and meet back up with me when you are at the end of your row with 3 stitches left to work into. All right, so you're meeting back up with me and you have a chain 5 on your hook. You're here at the end of your row. You're counting 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 chains to skip, just like you've been doing all down the row. And you see that you have just these 3 stitches left to work into. So this is how everyone, regardless of the size, is going to end their row. So you're going to wrap your yarn around your hook and you're going to do 3 double crochets, 1 in each of the next 3 stitches. So we've skipped over 5 chains or stitches right down here. And we're going to go into the 6th one and do a double crochet. We're going to do a double crochet right beside it. And we're going to do a double crochet right here in the very last stitch. We're going to go in there and we're going to do a double crochet. Just like that. And that is how you end your row. Each and every one of these rows is going to be ended exactly the same. So, or as far as this particular row, just to not confuse anyone. So now we're going to go ahead and move up to our next row. We're going to chain 5 to do that. So you're going to go ahead and chain 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And now you're going to turn your work. For all of you, you're going to have a lot more to turn than me, most likely. So now what we're going to do is we're going to do a double crochet right here into this very first stitch in this row. So we're not skipping anything. We've only got 3 stitches right here to work into, and we're going to work right here into this very first one and do a double crochet. So I've wrapped my yarn around my hook. I'm going to go ahead and insert into that stitch right there in the top of the double crochet from the previous row, and I'm going to do my double crochet. And now I'm going to go ahead and work a double crochet into each of the next 2 stitches. So you're going to go ahead and wrap your yarn, and I like to use this chain 5 over here to kind of pull my work out of the way. So I'm going to go ahead and do a double crochet in the very next stitch, and then I'm going to do a double crochet in the very next stitch. And now what we're going to be doing is a chain 4, and that's going to begin our repeat. And I will make sure to mark this in the rewind times for you guys. So just pay attention to that screen. So we're going to go ahead and chain 4. And now we're going to move over here. We're going to skip over this chain 5 right here. And we're going to move into our 3 single crochets. This is the section we're working into. And we're going to, if you take a look at your work, got 3 of them right there. And we're going to work in the center. So we're going to skip the first single crochet, and we're going to go right here into the second single crochet and do a single crochet. So we're going to insert our hook, grab our yarn, pull up a loop, and pull through 2. Just like that. So now we're going to chain 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And we're going to move over here. We're going to skip over this chain 5, and we're going to move right here into this double crochet section. We've got 5 double crochets right here in a row, and we're going to put a double crochet in the very first one right there in the top of that stitch, and we're going to do 2 more of these, 1 in each of the next 2 stitches. So you're going to go right here into the top of that stitch and do a second double crochet, and now we're going to do a third. So you've done 3 total right there, 1 in each of those stitches. And now we're going to chain 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And now what we're going to do is we're going to wrap our yarn and get ready to do a double crochet. but we're going to be coming down here into the same exact stitch that we just did our last double crochet in. So if you look at your work, you're going to be coming in right here into this stitch. So we're going to do a double crochet right here. So we're going to share that stitch with two of these babies. So we're going to go right here into this, and we're going to do a double crochet. And that's what that's going to look like. And now we're going to do a double crochet in the next two double crochets, one in each, to finish out this section. So go ahead and do a double crochet and then a double crochet. Just like that. And that ends your repeat for this row. So you're going to go ahead and continue on in the same way as you started over here at the beginning of the repeat. You're going to chain 4, do a single crochet in the center single crochet from the previous row. So you're going to skip 1 single crochet and go right there into the second. Then you're going to do a chain 4. You're going to move over here to this section, and that's where you're going to be doing 3 double crochets, a chain 5, a double crochet right back into the same exact stitch, 2 more double crochets to finish it out. I'll have it marked on the screen for you so you know exactly where you're going. So you want to go ahead and pause the video here, continue to work on just like I just explained all the way down your row, and then we're going to meet back up when you have just these last 3 double crochets to work into. So you're going to finish out your row, you're going to have a chain 4 on your hook, and we're going to meet right back up down here. And I'm going to go ahead and get over there to that spot. So I'm going to chain 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to skip over the chain 5, skip over the first single crochet, go right here into the second single crochet and do a single crochet. And now I'm going to do a chain 4. And you guys should be meeting back up with me at this point. We've got a chain 4 on our hook. We're at the end of our row. Everybody's going to finish their row exactly the same regardless of the size you're making. So you're going to skip over this chain 5, and you're going to come right here into this double crochet section, and we're going to work a double crochet. Go right down in there and do a double crochet. And now we're going to do a double crochet in the very next stitch. We're going to do a total of 3 of these, and then a chain 2 and a double crochet. I'm going to show you how that works out. So there's my second double crochet. And now I'm at this is my double crochet. It's actually a chain 3 that is counting as a double crochet. So I'm going to count up from the last chain, 1, 2, and 3, and make sure I'm going to the top of the 3rd stitch. And I'm going to do a double crochet. Now I'm going to chain 2, 1 and 2, and I'm going to come over here, and I'm going to go right back into that same stitch, just like so, and I'm going to do a double crochet. And that is how you end out that row. So your work is starting to look like this. We've got this really pretty, what's going to look like a flower in a moment. Now we're going to go ahead and we're going to move on up to our next row. And to do that, we're going to chain 3, 1, 2, and 3. And we're going to turn our work. And we're going to do 3 double crochets right here into this chain 2 space that we created. So you're going to just go right directly into that, working right around it, pulling up a loop, pulling through 2, and pulling through 2. That's our first double crochet into that space. And we're going to repeat this 2 more times, working right into that loop. So we're not going into a specific stitch, we're just inserting our hook, going under those chain 2s, pulling up a loop, and pulling through 2. And now what we're going to do is a chain 3, and this is going to begin our repeat for this row. So the chain 3 is the beginning of your repeat, so go ahead and chain 3. Now we're going to move over here. We've got 3 double crochets, so we're skipping over this little bit right here. We're moving into these 3 double crochets, and we're going to do a double crochet into the top of each one. So we're going to do 3 double crochets. Here's our first one right here into the top of this very first stitch, going right into the top of that and doing a double crochet. Now we're going to go here into the very next stitch, and we're going to do a double crochet. That's our second. Now we're going to go right here into this very next stitch, and we're going to do a double crochet, and that is our third one. So now we're going to chain 3 again, 1, 2, and 3, and we're going to skip over this chain 4 right here and go right here into the single crochet and do a single crochet right there into the top of that. Just go ahead and do your single crochet right there. Now we're going to chain 3 again, 1, 2, and 3. And we're moving over here, and we've got 3 double crochets, and then we've got that chain 5 space we created. So we're going to work right here at first in these double crochets. So we're going to do a double crochet into the top of each of those. So I'm doing a double crochet. I've got a second double crochet to work into with a double crochet, and I have a third. So we're doing 3 double crochets into the next 3 double crochets from the previous row. Now I'm going to chain 3, 1, whoops, 2, and 3. And now what we're going to do is we're going to do a total of 7 double crochets right here into this chain 5 space. So we're going to do a double crochet 7 times right there into that space, just working right around that chain. So here's my first one. I need a total of 7, so here's number 2. Here is number 3, number 4, number 5, number 6, and number 7. And just real briefly, we're going to go back and check our count because it's important. You do have to make sure you've got 7 of these in here. 1, 2, 4, 6, 7. All right. So now we are going to chain 3. And we're now here to these 3 double crochets. So just like on the other side, we're going to work a double crochet right into the top of each of those. So there's my first. Here is my second. Here is my third. And that ends your repeat for this row. You're going to go ahead and chain 3, doing a single crochet into the top of the single crochet from the previous row. You're going to chain 3 again. Let me stretch that out so you can see it. Chain 3 again. Then you're going to work 3 double crochets into the 3 double crochets from the previous row. You're going to chain 3 again. Then you're going to work 7 double crochets right there into that chain 5. You're going to chain 3 again, and you're going to finish out by doing 3 double crochets on the other side right into the top of these from the previous row. So this is what your work is looking like, just to kind of give you an idea. And we are going to go ahead and pause here, and you're going to meet back up with me when you have finished out the rest of your row. And you're going to come back when you have worked your 3 double crochets into this section, and we have this chain 5 loop left to work in. That's where we're going to meet back up. So you're going to have your 3 double crochets and a chain 3 on your hook, and then we're going to meet right here and finish out. Every single person is going to finish this row exactly the same, so go ahead and work the rest of the way down and meet back up with me when you are at this section at the very end. And I'm going to go ahead and continue with you guys. I'm going to do a chain 3, pull out some more yarn, and work a single crochet into the top of the single crochet from the previous row. Now I'm going to chain 3 again. And now I'm moving over here. I'm at these 3 double crochets, so I'm going to do a double crochet into the top of each one. So I'm just going right there into that top of that stitch, going right up in there. And hopefully you guys are about to meet back up with me and you are at the end of your row. So you are going to make sure that you have a chain 3 on your hook, and we're going to work into this chain 5 space that we created here at the end. We're going to work into that together. So this is how you're going to be ending this row. So you're going to go ahead and wrap the yarn around your hook so that you can get ready to do a double crochet, because you're going to do 3 double crochets right there into that chain 5 loop right here at the end. So just go ahead and do 3 double crochets right into that chain space, just like so. And now we're going to need a 4th double crochet here, but we're going to count up down here from where our chain began. We want to go to the 3rd stitch, so we're going to count 1, 2, and 3, and this one right here is our 3rd stitch. So we're going to go directly into that stitch and do our last double crochet. And I like to make sure that I'm around 2 of the little pieces of the stitch. So you might have to stretch your work a little bit, and you want to get underneath so that you have 2 of those right there. There's 2 parts on my hook. So I like to do it like that so that it doesn't stretch out that stitch too much. So we're going to go ahead and do a double crochet right there into the top of that chain 3. And that is how you finish this row. So now we're going to get started on our next row. We're going to go ahead and chain up 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And we're going to turn our work. And now what we're going to be doing is some double crochet clusters. So to do a double crochet cluster, you're going to wrap your yarn around your hook. And in this case, we're not going to go in here to this first stitch that we just worked the chain 4 out of. We're going to go into the stitch right beside it. So we're going to go directly beside it and go into this very 2nd stitch right into the very top of it. And we're going to pull up a loop, we're going to pull through 2, and we're going to hold it. So now we've got 2 loops on our hook. We're going to wrap our yarn again. We're going to go back into that same exact space, and we're going to pull up a loop. We're going to pull through 2, and we're going to hold it. So now we have 3 loops on our hook. And we're going to do this one more time. We're going to go wrap our yarn, go back into the same exact chain, or stitch, and pull up a loop. We're going to pull through 2, and we're going to hold it. So now we have 4 loops on our hook. So now we're going to wrap our yarn, and we're going to pull through all 4 loops. And to do that, you want to turn your hook from the working position. You've been working with it like this. You want to turn it down where it is facing towards your work. So you can see that difference there. Now you're going to pull through all 4 loops. So you've grabbed yarn and you've pulled through all 4 loops, and we're going to do that again together. We're going to chain 3, and that's what we're going to use each time to separate these double crochet clusters. So we've got a chain 3, we're going to wrap our yarn, and we're going to skip this very next stitch right here, and we're going to go here into this one. It's the last one in this section. So we're going to go ahead and go into the top of that stitch right there. We're going to pull up a loop, we're going to grab our yarn and pull through 2. So we've got 2 loops on our hook. We're going to wrap our yarn again. We're going to go back down into the same exact stitch and pull up a loop. We're going to pull through 2, and we're going to hold it. So we've got 3 loops on our hook. We're going to wrap one more time. We're going to go into the same exact stitch. We're going to grab our yarn and pull up a loop. We're going to pull through 2, and we're going to hold it. So now we've got 4 loops on our hook, and that's our signal that we're done. So we're going to grab our yarn, turn our hook down towards our work, and pull through all 4 loops. And now we're going to begin the repeat for this row. So you are going to be doing a chain 5 next. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now what we're going to do is we're actually going to cluster all these stitches together down here below. So we're going to be working into these 3 double crochets, and then we're going to jump over here and kind of bridge this gap over here and work into these 3 double crochets. So you're going to grab your yarn, and you've got a chain 5 right here on your hook. So let's make sure we got a chain 5. Double check mine. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So the chain 5 is the beginning of our repeat. We're going to wrap our yarn, and we're going to go right here into this very first stitch, this very first double crochet. So we're skipping over this chain, and we're coming right here, and we're going to insert our hook into the top of that stitch. We're going to grab our yarn, and we're going to pull up a loop. We're going to pull through 2, and we're going to hold it. So we've got 2 loops on our hook. We're going to wrap our yarn again. We're going to go right here into the very next stitch. We're going to insert our hook, grab our yarn, pull up a loop, pull through 2, and we're going to hold it. So now we've got 3 loops on our hook. We're going to wrap our yarn again. We're going to go here into the very next stitch, and we're going to grab our yarn, pull up a loop. We're going to pull through 2, and we're going to hold it. So now we've got 4 loops on our hook. Now we're going to wrap our yarn again, and we're going to skip over all of this, and we're going to come over here to these 3 double crochets, and that's where we're going to start working right here in this first one. So we're going to go into the top of that stitch and grab our yarn, pulling up a loop. We're going to pull through 2, and we're going to hold it. And we want to try to keep this from spreading apart too much. So you want to keep it kind of tight through here when you're working. You want to grab your yarn again, wrap it around your hook. You're going to go right here into this very next stitch. You're going to insert your hook. You're going to grab your yarn and pull up a loop. Oops, lost it. Grab your yarn, pull up a loop. We're going to pull through 2, and we're going to hold it. So now if you take a look, you have a total of 6 loops on your hook. We're going to do this one more time. So we're going to wrap our yarn around our hook. We're going to go right here into this very first double crochet, grab our yarn, pull up a loop, pull through 2, and we're going to hold it. So now we have 7 loops on our hook. Take a look there. So now we're going to grab our yarn, and we're going to turn our hook down towards our work and pull through all 7 loops that are on our hook. And this is what you've just done. You've just clustered all of that together. So now we're going to chain 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And we are going to move over here. We're now at our 7 double crochet section, and we're going to be doing a double crochet cluster in every other stitch. So we're going to start right here in this very first double crochet. So we're skipping over this chain and coming right here to this very first double crochet, and we're going to insert our hook and do a double crochet cluster. So we insert our hook, pulling up a loop. We're going to pull through 2, and we're going to hold it. We're going to wrap our yarn again, insert into the same exact stitch, grabbing our yarn and pulling up a loop. We're going to pull through 2, and we're going to hold it. We've got 3 loops on our hook. We're going to wrap our yarn, go into the same exact stitch one last time. We're going to pull up a loop. We're going to pull through 2, and we are going to hold it. So we've got 4 loops on our hook. We're going to grab our yarn and pull through all 4 loops. And now we're going to chain 3. That's going to be our separator between our clusters. And we're going to skip this very next stitch and go into what is the 3rd stitch in this row, or in this section. And we're going to go right here into the top of that stitch and do another double crochet cluster. So grabbed our yarn, pulled up a loop, pulled through 2, and now we're holding it with 2 on our hook. Wrapping again, inserting into the same exact stitch, grabbing our yarn and pulling up a loop. We're going to pull through 2, and we're going to hold it. So we're going to wrap one more time, go down into the same exact stitch, grab our yarn and pull up a loop. We're going to pull through 2, and we're going to hold it. Got 4 loops on our hook, and that is our signal for the clusters to go ahead and grab our yarn and pull through all 4 loops on our hook. So now we're going to chain 3, and we're going to go ahead and skip the very next stitch. Right here, we're skipping that one and coming over here into this double crochet. This is technically our 5th one in this section. So we're going to wrap our yarn around our hook. We're going to go right here into this next double crochet. We're skipping over this one, skipping, going right here into this one, and we're going to go ahead and do a double crochet cluster just like we've been doing. So we're going to do that a total of 3 times. You go down into that stitch, and you always work in the same exact stitch. You got 4 loops on your hook, so you know you're done. You're going to grab your yarn and pull through all 4 loops. And now we're going to chain 3 again. This is the last time you're going to be doing this. We're going to skip this next stitch. This is the 6th one in this section, so we're going to skip this one, and we're going to do our double crochet cluster right here, and it's the last stitch in this row. So that's the last double crochet. We're going to go right here into that stitch, and we're going to do our double crochet cluster. So we're going to pull up a loop, pull through 2. We're going to hold it with 2 on our hook. Wrap again, go into the same exact stitch, pulling up a loop, pull through 2, and we're going to hold it, 3 loops on our hook. Wrap one more time, go into the same exact stitch, pulling up a loop, pull through 2, and we're going to hold it. We've got 4 loops on our hook. So we're going to wrap our yarn and pull through all 4 loops. And that is going to be our next section where we're going to be ending our repeat now. So that's the end of your repeat. The next thing you're going to do is you're going to go back to this where you're doing a chain 5. You're going to cluster these 6 double crochets together, chain 5, and then you're going to work your double crochet clusters, 1 in every other stitch in the section that has the 7 double crochets. So you can go ahead and pause here, and I will have the mark spot in the video where you can rewind back to. But for the rest of you, if you want to continue on down with me, I'm going to do a chain 5. So I've got 2, 3, 4, and 5. I'm going to show you that double crochet cluster one more time, and then we're going to meet back up when you have these last 4 double crochets to work into. So go ahead and pause here if you have a longer piece to work on. Otherwise, you can continue on with me. I'm going to wrap my yarn around my hook. I'm going to go here into the top of this double crochet, pulling up a loop. I'm going to pull through 2, and I'm going to hold it. Now I'm going to wrap my yarn again, insert right here into the next double crochet, pulling up a loop. I'm going to pull through 2, and I'm going to hold it. I'm going to wrap my yarn again, insert here into the next double crochet, pulling up a loop, pull through 2, and I'm going to hold it. Total of 4 loops on my hook. And now I'm going to wrap my yarn and kind of pull a little tight. And I'm going to skip over all these chains and the single crochet down here, and I'm going to come over here where I have these 3 double crochets, and I'm going to insert my hook. I'm going to pull up a loop. I'm going to pull through 2, and I'm going to hold it. I'm going to wrap my yarn again. I'm going to insert into the next double crochet, pulling up a loop. I'm going to pull through 2, and I'm going to hold it. I'm going to wrap my yarn again. I'm going to go into this last double crochet, insert, pull up, pull through 2, and I'm going to hold it. So I have a total of 7 loops on my hook now. So I'm going to grab my yarn and pull through all 7 loops. And that is what you end up doing. So I'm going to chain 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And I'm going to come over here, and we should be meeting back up with one another. You should be at the end of your row when you're coming back to the video. You've got a chain 5 on your hook. We've got 4 double crochets to work into. So we're going to go ahead and skip over this little chain 3, and we're going to wrap our yarn, and we're going to go right here into the very first double crochet, grabbing our yarn and pulling up a loop. We're going to be doing a double crochet cluster here. So we've got the start of our double crochet cluster is 1 time. So we're going to wrap again because we do this a total of 3 times. We're going to pull up that loop, pull through 2, and we're going to hold it. We've got 3 loops on our hook. And here's our 3rd time, final time to do the cluster. We're going to go through, we're going to pull up a loop, we're going to pull up 2, pull through 2, and we're going to hold it with 4 loops on our hook. We're going to grab our yarn and pull through all 4 loops. And now we're going to chain 3. This is how everyone is ending their row, no matter what size you're making. We're going to skip the very next stitch. We're going to go right here into this 3rd double crochet, insert our hook, grab a loop and pull it up. We're going to grab our yarn again and pull through 2, and we're going to do 1 last double crochet cluster to end out this row. So you're going to go ahead, and just like you've been doing before, you're going to do that a total of 3 times going into that loop. You're going to pull through all 4 loops on your hook. You're going to chain 1. And so we just chained 1, and we're going to wrap our yarn around our hook, and we're going to count up because we're at a chain right here. Count up from the bottom. We're going to count 1, 2, and 3. We're going to insert our hook into that top of the 3rd stitch, top of that chain. We're going to grab our yarn and pull up a loop, pull through 2, and pull through 2. So we're doing a double crochet right there at the end of the row to end that out. So this is what you have so far. I'm going to have to scoot it over because I'm real up close. And we're going to go ahead and I'm going to show you how to do the next foundation row basically to set up your work, and then from there it's going to be continuing doing the same exact thing. So this next row that I'm about to do is going to show you how to do the new row 1 basically. And when you get done, you're going to be doing a total of 5 repeats for most sizes. If you are a shorter person, smaller stature, you are going to want to probably do 4 repeats of this. And I consider this right here and 1 repeat of this pattern. So this is a repeat of it. So it's a total of 5 rows per repeat. So we're going to do this 4 to 5 times for most of the sizes, and then for some of the larger sizes, refer down to the description below. I've got that marked as well. You may want to do an additional repeat and do 6 of these, for especially if you are plus size and taller. So you want to refer down to that description for more information. But for every single person, when you have done the number of repeats that you want for the length of the panel for your sweater, this is going to be your back panel. When you're done, you're going to do this new row 1 right here at the top, so that you have a nice solid straight line edge basically to connect on. So when you get your 5th one or 6th one, whatever number you're doing, when you get that done, you're going to do this next row that I'm going to show you at the top, so that you have something nice and even, so that when we're connecting things, you will have something nice and even to work with. So you're going to go ahead and start this next row by chaining 1, and you're going to turn your work. And now what we want to do is a single crochet right here into the top of that double crochet that started out or ended this last row. So we're going to go ahead and do a single crochet right there into the top of that double crochet, just like that. Now we're going to chain 2, 1 and 2. And we're going to skip over this double crochet cluster and go right here into this chain 3 space. And we're going to do a single crochet right there around that chain 3. So now this next begins our repeat for this row. We're going to chain 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And this is the beginning of our repeat. So we're going to go ahead and do a double crochet right here into this area that we clustered together. I want to kind of pull this apart so you can see what I'm talking about. There is a little hole that we created. It's a perfect little stitch to work into to do your double crochet. So we're going to skip over this chain 5, and we're going to wrap our yarn and get ready to do a double crochet right there into this space that we created when we clustered this together. It's right there. It's kind of hiding over to the side, but if you stretch your work, you'll be able to see it. So you want to go ahead and do a double crochet right there into that little space. Now we're going to chain 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And now we're going to move over here, and we're going to skip over this chain 5. We're going to skip over this double crochet cluster, and we're going to go right here into this chain 3, and we're going to do a single crochet. Now we're going to chain 2, and we're going to skip over this next double crochet cluster and go right here into that chain 3 space and do a single crochet. And now we're going to do that one more time. We're going to chain 2. We're going to skip over the cluster, moving right over here into this chain 3 space and doing a single crochet. And that ends your repeat. So this row, the setup row, new row 1, is very, very easy to do. And the reason we want to do it when we end our panel, and this is our back panel that we're working on, you want to have this right, all of this right here to stitch into, so that you can connect your panels. So I will show you that in the next part 2 of this tutorial. We're going to continue on here for me. For the rest of you, you're going to rewind back to the spot marked on the video if you need more help, so that you can go back here to the beginning of the repeat where you chain 5, do your double crochet right there in the center of that cluster. Then you're going to chain 5, and you're going to do a single crochet, chain 2, single crochet right there in those chain 3 spaces. So you're going to end up with these 2 loops on the top of each one of these little flowers that you've created in your stitch work. So I'm going to go ahead and do this one more time, or finish out my row. You're going to meet back up with me at the end of your row when you have just this one section of 2 double crochet clusters to work into. So pause here, go ahead and finish out your row, and we'll meet back up right there at the end. And I'm going to go ahead and do my chain 5, 4, and 5. And I'm going to come over here. I'm going to skip over all of this, and I'm going to do a double crochet right there in that little loop hole that we created when we clustered all that together. So I'm going to insert there, pull up a loop, pull through 2, and pull through 2 to do a double crochet. I'm going to chain 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And now you guys should be meeting back up with me with a chain 5 on your hook. And we're going to do the same thing for all sizes. So everybody's going to end their row exactly the same. We're going to skip over this chain 5. We're going to skip over this double crochet cluster, and we're going to come here into the chain 3 space, and we're going to pull up a loop and do a single crochet. So we're working right on top of that little chain 3. Now we're going to chain 2 again, or we're going to chain 2, and we're going to skip over this cluster. And now this is a chain 4 that we began this row in, so we're going to count up because we want to go into the 3rd stitch. So we're going to count 1, 2, and 3, and we're going to insert our hook right there into the 3rd chain up on that row, and we're going to do a single crochet. And that is how you end out your row. So if you take a look at your work nice and stretched out, when you are connecting your panels, it's going to be very easy to do the stitch work that you need to do. So for every single person, their next row 2 is going to start and begin exactly the same way. And we're going to start that by doing a chain 3, 1, 2, and 3. So now we've done a chain 3, and we are going to turn our work, and we're going to go ahead and do our new row 2 together. So we're going to wrap our yarn around our hook. We're going to insert it right here into this chain 2 space we created. So we're going to go directly down into that chain 2. So we're going to go ahead and work a double crochet right there into that chain 2 space. So our chain 3 counted as our first double crochet. This is our second double crochet, and we need a 3rd one right here working into that chain 2 space that we created on the previous row. So we're going to go ahead and do our 3rd double crochet right there. Now I'm going to chain 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And we are going to come and move over here. We're going to work on this chain 5 chain. We're going to do a single crochet right here beside that double crochet. So we're going to go ahead and do a single crochet right there. This chain 5 began our repeat, by the way, and it'll be marked on screen. So chain 5, and then you're going to single crochet right there beside the double crochet. Now we're going to do a single crochet into the top of the double crochet, and we're going to do a single crochet right here beside the double crochet around that chain 5. So that's our 3 single crochets that we need in order to move on up throughout this project. So now we're going to chain 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And we're going to move over here, and we're going to take a look. We're now at this section with our double crochet clusters. We're going to work in this chain 2 space that we created. So we're going to go right there. Right here is a single crochet, and we're going to go right here into this chain 2 space, and we're going to do 2 double crochets. To do a double crochet, and then 1 more double crochet working right there into that chain 2 space. Now we're going to wrap our yarn, and we're going to go into this single crochet right here and do a double crochet right on top of that single crochet. And now we're going to move over here. We're now in the next chain 2 space. We're going to go ahead and do 2 more double crochets. Just like that, working right there into that chain 2 space. So that's our 5 double crochets that we did back down here on row 2 when we first started out this project. So this is the end of your repeat for this row. You're going to go ahead and continue on chaining 5, doing a single crochet beside this double crochet, a single crochet in the top of the double crochet, and a single crochet right beside the double crochet. So you're going to do those 3 single crochets right there in a row, chain 5, you're going to do your 5 double crochets just as I've showed you, and then you're going to continue on and you're going to meet back up with me at the end of your row when you have just this last single crochet and chain 2 space to work into. So you're going to work your 3 single crochets right here around this double crochet. You're going to chain 5 and you're going to meet back up with me when you have just this last little section to work into. And I'm going to go ahead and continue on down for myself. I'm going to chain 5, 3, 4, and 5. And now I'm going to come over here, and right here beside that double crochet, I'm going to do a single crochet. I'm going to do a single crochet right there on the top of the double crochet. And I'm going to do a single crochet right there beside it. And now I'm going to chain 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And I'm going to come over here, and you guys should be meeting back up with me with a chain 5 on your hook. And we're going to wrap our yarn, and we're going to come right here. We're going to skip over the single crochet. We're skipping over all that chain, skipping this single crochet and going right here in this chain 2 space, and we're going to do 2 double crochets. There's 1, and here is 2. And now we're going to go ahead and wrap our yarn, and we're going to go right here into the single crochet right here at the very end of the row, and we're going to do a double crochet right there at the top of that. So we're going to have a total of 3 double crochets right here at the end of the row, just like we began. So now you're going to go ahead and rewind the video if you need to, and you're going to continue on with row 3 through 5 just in the same exact manner, and then you're going to complete a total, for most sizes, you're going to complete a total of 5 repeats. Some of you may want to reduce that to 4 repeats, which is the section right here. You want to end up counting and having 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Some of you may want to increase that and have another one. If you're plus size and have a larger booty, let's say, you might want to do this back panel with a total of 6 repeats. That's how my original one that I wore in the podcast was done. I had 6 repeats on the back panel, and then my front panel I had 5 because I wanted it to go a little lower and cover more of my butt, basically. So it's completely up to you. I'm going to have a podcast that goes along with this whole tutorial series to kind of explain some of the things that are you can do to adjust things on this. But you're going to finish out. This is your back panel. Then you're going to clip your yarn, and you're going to do the exact same number of chains. Possibly, in most cases, you're going to do the exact same number of repeats of the pattern. So for most of you, this is 25 rows, and that's all it is. So you're going to do a second panel just the same exact way, and then you are not going to clip your yarn because we're going to come back and meet back up together when we are going to do this right here. This is for the 39 chains, people who started 39 chains. This is your shoulder section. So that's why we're not going to clip the yarn, is we're going to come back up and I'm going to show you how to create this. And then you'll have to create an identical one over here. And I'm going to have to break that up into a tutorial for each of the different sizes. Size small, I believe, through large, but I know for sure if you chained 39 chains, this is the sample. This is how it's going to end up looking for your shoulders, where you're going to connect this front. This is going to be your front panel. That's why you're doing it second. You're going to connect it with this to your back panel. It'll fold over and it'll actually create a little shoulder here. I don't know how well you can tell that on this camera. And if you're doing the size where you chained 57 chains, I believe it was, you're going to be doing one exactly like my finished one, and that one is shown here. I'm going to have to take this apart so I can show you guys how to do it, but it is easier to show y'all. What you end up with is this shoulder connecting piece. So we're going to be doing this together, and I'm going to show you how to do that in a tutorial. And then for the largest sizes, your shoulder is going to be slightly different than the others. So each one has a different number of repeats that you're going to need to do, or a different way that you're going to stitch this out. They're all very short versions of the same thing we've been doing for the panel. It's just going to have to be a little bit different for each of those sizes, so I can show y'all how to make it where you can net. And I know this is like a little too close. So that's your shoulder connecting piece for the largest sizes. So you're going to come meet back up with me on the part 2 of this tutorial, and we're going to do this all together. And then we're going to do I'm going to show you guys all how to do the sewing up of the sides, how to connect your panels, that sort of thing, and how to make sleeves. And we're actually going to make our sleeves in long pieces, and I'm going to show you that in its own tutorial probably. But we're going to make our sleeves right after we've done our shoulder pieces. The next thing we're going to see is how to do our sleeves. So then we will move on to doing the actual connecting, like construction, we'll say, of this piece. So please continue on to part 2, and that will show you what you do after you've created your 2 panels. So you're going to go ahead and work your 2 panels so that you can end up with a finished 2 panels, your last panel being your front panel. We're going to do our shoulders, then we're going to move on together for the next components to finish up the sweater. So thank you guys as always for watching. Refer down to the description because I have lots and lots of details and information there in case you are going to need to adjust it. And I appreciate you guys so much for watching. Please like, subscribe, and share this video.